This is the story of men who looked death in the face, and did not step back. Not because they believed they would survive. Not because they had no fear. But because, in that final moment, something else mattered more. In 480 BCE, a king stood before an army that could blot out the sun. In 1806, a cavalry charge rode straight into annihilation. And in 1942, a soldier held a bridge alone, knowing exactly how it would end. Different centuries. Different worlds. But the same final question. What does a person choose, when the ending is already written? This is their story. In the early 5th century BCE, Leonidas was not just a king, he was a soldier shaped by a lifetime of discipline. Sparta was not like other Greek city-states. It was austere, relentless, built entirely around war. From childhood, boys were trained to endure hunger, pain, and silence. Leonidas had lived that life. He understood sacrifice not as an idea, but as routine. By the time he became king, Greece faced an existential threat, the vast Persian Empire under Xerxes I. But then everything changed. Leonidas led a small force to Thermopylae to hold back an army that vastly outnumbered them. A traitor revealed a hidden path, and the Persians moved to surround them. Leonidas understood immediately, there would be no victory, no escape. He dismissed most of the Greek forces and remained behind with 300 Spartans and several hundred allies who refused to leave. The final battle began under a sky darkened by arrows, the air filled with the clash of shields and steel. They fought not for survival, but for time. The narrow pass worked in their favor as they held formation, cutting down wave after wave. Leonidas stood at the front, spear striking, shield crashing forward. But the encirclement tightened. Weapons broke. They fought with swords, then daggers, then bare hands. Leonidas fell, and his men fought over his body. Not to save him, but to protect his honor. Surrounded and exhausted, they made their final stand on a small hill. The Battle of Thermopylae ended in silence. Yet its meaning echoed across history. Their sacrifice delayed the Persian advance and united the Greek world. It became a symbol not of victory, but of resistance. Of choosing to stand, when standing changes everything. Leonidas did not win that battle. But history remembers him anyway. But history had more moments like this. Where courage was not measured by survival, but by the willingness to ride forward anyway. In 1806, Europe trembled under Napoleon Bonaparte. Among his forces were the Polish cavalry, elite riders trained for precision and speed. During the Battle of Somosierra, they faced an impossible task: charge a narrow mountain pass defended by multiple lines of artillery. The order was simple, and nearly suicidal. 4 lines of cannons waited ahead. The riders knew exactly what it meant. They tightened their grips, adjusted their sabers, and charged. The ground thundered beneath them. The first volley struck, men and horses collapsing instantly. But the charge did not stop. They pushed forward into the second line, then the third, cutting through chaos and fire. Against all expectation, they broke through every battery and captured the pass. Many were dead or wounded, but the path was open. Napoleon's forces advanced. Historians still debate the necessity of that charge. But not the courage it required. These men rode directly into cannon fire, not blindly, but knowingly. Because that was the order. Because that was the cost. But not all final stands happen in great battles. In 1942, during the Battle of Bataan, a Filipino soldier named Jose Calugas faced his own moment. A gun crew had been silenced, their position abandoned under heavy fire. Without orders, Calugas ran across open ground toward the weapon. Under relentless fire, he reached it, operated it alone, and brought it back to life. The sound of that gun slowed the enemy and rallied nearby troops. A position that should have been lost, held. 3 moments. A king who stood against an empire. Soldiers who rode into cannon fire. A man who ran toward a weapon no one else would claim. Different outcomes. Different histories. But the same truth remains: in the final moments, people reveal what they truly serve. Not fear. Not survival. But something greater. History does not only remember how people lived, it remembers how they chose to face the end.